The next speaker is from Alibaba, Jinjuan Dust Lee. He's a staff engineer and a maintainer of the Linux kernel's SMC subsystem. He has spent more than 10 years bringing RDMA into data center production, most recently taking SMC-R from a research-grade kernel feature into a production transport. Very impressive.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm Li Jinxuan from Alibaba Cloud. Today, I'm presenting our paper, Rethinking Transparent TCP Replacement, Practical Lessons from SMC-R in the Cloud. First, why we looked at transparent replacement on the cloud at all. 3 facts. 1, the cost in the kernel stack, applications can burn up to 50 to 90% of their CPU in socket operations. And 2, the RDMA hardware is already there and free to turn on. And 3, the application that fill the cloud speak sockets on Alibaba Cloud in 2023, the top 5 applications were over half of all instances. And a few teams will rewrite them to RDMA verbs. Put those together and one idea follows. Transparent TCP replacement, socket cross mapped to RDMA with no application change. We expect an easy win for long-lived connections inside the data center. With this goal in mind, which mechanism do we pick? The table compared the main approaches, libVMA, TARS, socket direct, RSocket, and the 2 things stand out. Almost all rely on LD preload, and almost all live in user space. And SMC-R is an exception on both counters. It sits in the kernel, and we choose it for 3 reasons. Maintenance and compatibility and easy to deploy. The 3 that matter most when you need to cover a wide range of production applications. Remember the middle one, SMC negotiates over a normal TCP handshake and falls back to plain TCP automatically if the peer does not support it. In short, the best fit for our case. Over the past 4 years, we tried SMC-R on 5 production workloads: Redis, and Service Mesh, Kafka, and Search and Game. The diagram on the left shows how it reaches users. Let me be honest about the result. It landed in 2, the gaming canary, 70% of the traffic on SMC-R managed service, and through our eBPF hooks, and the CPU from 27% down to 20%, and our managed service mesh where it ships as an optional accelerator. It did not land in the other 3, and only 1 was about speed. On travel book Redis, games were real and measured, but they blocked the release process. And search and recommendation blocked by collocation queues. And cross-region Kafka blocked by limited in RDMA itself. Each blocker is one of the 9 lessons we learned, and the rest of this talk. Everything we learned comes down to 2 claims. Claim 1, drop-in is hard to achieve. 0 code change does not mean 0 cost. 9 lessons in all, and I will show you all 9 in a moment. Claim 2, not all speedups are stack speedups. The stack itself only by a few microseconds, and in a case, we measured the big end-to-end wins came from mostly from somewhere else. And these lessons apply beyond SMC-R, and let's look at each claim. Here are the 9 on 1 page with how widely each one applies. The first 4 holds for any transparent replacement, not just for SMC-R. The bottom 4 are no surprise within tools, cloud quarters, and the cost of setting up RDMA. I will skip them. The colored rows are where I want to spend our time. The blue 2 are about tuning SMC-R on, and the one problem we did solve and upstreamed. The origin 3 we did not see coming, and each one alone was enough to stop a deployment. Every row here is a real production case written up in section 3 of our paper. Start with the blue row. The problem we did solve in production, you need two things. First, enablement that reaches static linked binaries and containers without touching their images, both very common in real deployment. And the choice made per connection, not per process. Enabling SMC through LD preload gives you neither for two reasons. The first, you already know it is what stopped us on Go applications. And every LD preload based approach in that table has it. The second is specific to SMC, and the protocol has to choose where the socket is created too early to know where the connection is going. So our fix hooks both moment. eBPF as socket creation gives us destination, and then eBPF struct ops callback at the handshake where the destination is known, picks per connection. First of three, application quietly depend on Linux TCP behavior that no specification guarantees. My favorite example because it is only 4 lines of code, and we found it in a real customer application. The peer closes the connection, and the Linux TCP reports equal hop and equal in, and SMC-R only reports equal hop. And the equal spec does not say which one is right, so neither stack is wrong. Now, look at what Redis 5 did with that. On equal hop, it set only AE writable with no AE readable. The read handler never runs, and the application never calls read, never see EOF, and never close the FD. And because equal is level triggered, equal hop fails again, and 100% CPU forever. But Redis 6 set equal AE readable, but that line changed in 2019 for other reasons. Not to fix this, Redis 6 is safe for by accident. And this is not a one-off. Actually, we see other cases like libzq suddenly lost messages, and NetPerf treated a partial send as a fatal. Those two really were application bugs. Linux TCP had simply been hidden then for years, and this lesson cuts both ways. Whether the spec is silenced or application is buggy, replacing the stack is what exposes it. Second one, when you bypass TCP, you also unplug everything built on top of it. The tools are visible part, SS TCP dump, and those you can rebuild. The one that actually stopped us from was called choice engineering. Before this, the customer team inject delay and package loss with TC and NetFilter to prove the service robust. But RDMA traffic never passes through either of them, and rebuilding that injection on RDMA path is complex and costly. So the travel booking service could not pass its release check, even though the speed up was really and measured, not a performance problem, a process problem. And third, the path itself is the problem. SMC announced itself as an experimental TCP option, and middle box read the same option on the left, a TOA load balancer, which short for TCP option address, widely used in channel for historic reasons, carries the client's real IP by private agreement and never standardized. So when a SMC puts its magic number in the same TCP option space, the backend reads it as a garbage address and drops the S1. So fallback never happens and S1 never arrives. On the right, S1 proxy case, S1 proxy echoes the option back, breaking IFC 9293. The client believes the peer speaks SMC and setup fails, any in-band negotiation inherent this, and so we use a per connection eBPF hook to work around this. Now let's go to the claim 2, where does the performance actually come from? First, what the stack itself buys you, measured with SOCPerf and across the kernel TCP, SMC-R, and libVMA as an example of user space stack. Throughput, libVMA wins for tiny messages, but drops off above 1 KB because it has no TSO and no autocook support. SMC-R wins there thanks for the full hardware offloading. And latency is a key chart on the right. SMC-R saves about 3 microseconds by shortening the send and soft IRQ path, and libVMA saves about 7 by removing the syscall and wake-ups. So here is a puzzle. A few microseconds cannot explain the big win for applications that takes hundreds of microseconds end-to-end, and yet we do see a big win in the real production. Let's find out. And we use a real customer Redis workload capped at 10K QPS, measuring average set latency. With these 4 panels left to right, same case, same client, and the same stack, 3 stacks. The only thing I changed is the TCP baseline. On the left panel, the customer's own default settings. SMC-R beats TCP by up to 70 microseconds. This is 10 to 20 times what the stack itself by. What we found is that actually TMU, MTU, and NIC queue count and Java runtime were all working against TCP in the setup. Fix them one by one, and the gap to close this from 70s all the way down to 3 to 8 microseconds, exactly what SOCPerf said in the stack is worth. So the 70 microseconds was never a stack game. It's an untuned baseline. And this is not just the Redis story, actually. We saw the same story, the same on MySQL with sysbench. Actually, also other cases. And the border point is not about which stack win. The point is that the best settings are different for every workload. And the people who run those applications are not network tooling experts. So untuned baseline are normal cases in production. And finally, a quick conclusion. Dropping is hard, and not all speedups are stack speedups. Getting transparent replacement to actualize in production takes far more work than the code change. It saves you. And when a design simply declares socket compatibility, that word is where most of that work hides. But the path is not closed. Those limitations are conditional, not universal. Long-lived intra-data center, trusted microsecond, trusted middle box free connections, escapes all of them, treat it as a connection on opt-in. Thank you, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Frank Zhao from University of Washington. Yeah, very great work. And my question about like that, do you have any comment on computational cost, like the CPU cost for the SMC-R? And how much cost should we pay for such translations?
Actually, in my experience in SMC, SMC offload the TCP operations to the hardware. So in our case, about 20% CPU save for a throughput case. And for latency case, in our testbed, the latency is about one side latency is about SMC is about 7 microseconds, and the TCP is about 10 microseconds for a tuned TCP and tuned SMC-R. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hi, Danny Chen from Purdue. I have a quick question about there's no more congestion control or no more like flow control as complicated as in TCP case, right? So what if you have many contentions when there are so many flow offloaded to SMC-R RDMA, and then they start to have congestion?
Yes, good question. Actually, since our work is on the cloud, and we put a virtual RDMA device called eRDMA in our cloud, and they implemented the congestion control underlayer. But actually, we also met some congestion control on the upper layer, especially when the bandwidths are full. We have implemented flow-controlled, credit-based flow control in the SMC-R layer, which seems works fine. Yeah.
Another quick follow-up. What about the number of connections? So what if the application tries to add a lot of connections exceeding the number of RDMA RCE?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, in our case, this case is what we filtered because RDMA is not good for the many connections. It's good for long-lived connections. So that is not our case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's thank the speaker.